What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Showtime is Blaze of King with King's Critiques for The Monster Wants to Eat Me. Been a while since I recorded this and figured I'd record the last 3 episodes because honestly I've been looking at the show here and there every time I'm on Crunchyroll, and I want to finish it. So here we are, finished the last few episodes that we have. We have the recap coming, so I don't need to do it. So what I will do before we get to the recap bit, at least for the people on the orange side of things, is remind on both sides of things to not forget to hit the like button, subscribe, ring bell, and all the stuff I'll remind you to do later, as well as let the whole video run through, let me get the watch time, because that is like the most helpful thing. That said, I'm just gonna get into things, shall we? And this is the craziest part too, like, Shiori had been gaslighting her the whole time about, I'm going to help you die, I'm going to eat you, blah 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 blah. And actually, it just comes down to this. And that is just so unfortunate. It's like, actually, in a literal sense, it's kind of like having the chance to date the most attractive person in the world in your eyes. You know, falling in love with them, all that stuff. But their personality is just like the most disgusting thing ever, which, I mean, hot people, bad personalities, kinda. But I digress. Well, yeah, You're a Monster is kind of the name of the show. Also, much as it's been a while since I saw the show, I am going to, like, skip along the intro, because it's not the last episode, nor the penultimate episode, so respect is only a pleasantry. Speaking of Katakawa and the banger shows they put out, another one I need to get the shirt for soon and continue watching is Eminence and Shadow. Am I going to restart the whole thing and watch it for reactionary sake, or am I just going to do the last half? I don't know. We'll see when we get there. Also, before we get her exposition backstory, I do just have to say, couldn't Shiori still, like, help Hinako? Is that her name? I think that's her name. Couldn't she just help her die without having to eat her? Because, like, she still has some pretty badass claws. She could just... Well, being the creature in the cove, I would assume it was because, kind of like me currently uploading Hikaru to finish that series up on this, channel. Which, yes, that dates when I'm recording this, but I do that a lot as it is, so whatever. But just like in that show's case, or like in the case of Dandadan and Evil Eye, probably for, like, sacrificing their children to the higher power, that kind of thing. But unfortunately, it's not quite what they think it is. Oh, so even when she was young, she was not very appetizing. Interesting. Did she really hate her life to that point even back then? Or is this like her aunt throwing her to the wolves after her parents died? Wait, she kept her for that long? Honestly, I thought it was just like a one-off thing, She went and discovered her after her parents died and, helped get her back into a state of being able to take care of herself, more or less, and then released her to the redhead there. But that's not how that went down. Yeah, she really just seemed like she was so comfortable. Like, she didn't give a single shit nor a fuck about the fact she was sleeping against I guess for what it is, a mermaid tail. No, mermaid tails traditionally aren't that big. In Shiori's case, yeah, but she really did not seem like she cared. She was actually quite comfortable at home, so to speak. Granted, she also was not very well off. So I really am considering what kind of timeline this is until we, like, learn better about when this happened. Because, like, I could assume, unless this is just, like, a different case than Hinako. Like, maybe this is a different child, but similar. Hell, maybe this case is, like, her mother, and, like, the bloodline was just not very appetizing. I know I should let her continue on, but also the whole point of reacting to videos and reviewing them is to say things during them. And I know that the guys at, the red platform don't understand that because they're a bunch of, AI is the greatest thing in the world, let's not check shit ourselves. But still, yeah, that's a fair point, but, like, still left a kid just in a cave. That's stereotyping. Could we call this also being racist? Because, like, she's assuming that just because she's a monster and a mermaid, so like, mermaid flesh, delicious. Oh, okay, that's an interesting way to appreciate a gift given. So she got that same reaction before in the past. But what was the difference? Still not answering what she did. Like, lack of context to death threats is never cool. I mean, what are we, on the internet? Wait, so mermaid flesh makes somebody immortal? Okay, so... Wait, actually might have been. Bitch literally carried explosives with her to try and take Shiori out. Damn. Well, she seemed to have thought she took Shiori out. Unfortunately, that did not seem to work. Might have taken herself out in the process, unless, like Shiori here, she kind of went and reformed. But does that mean that the one that she had spent the time with was not our main character? So that leaves the question, is it someone completely unrelated? Is it someone who developed and somehow became a monster themselves over time that we might meet later? Or was it her mother? And she's just like, you fucking... I couldn't even beat you if I wanted to, could I? Oh shit, I forgot that. I'd do that after this episode. Okay, I was close to... I was a single vowel off from her name. I was saying Hanako, and it's Hinako. But I was still close. Okay, for not having watched this in a few months, you gotta at least give me points on that. But, okay, at least that answers up that question to, like, the distance and when what happened. It does not answer if the girl she gave immortality to might have been Hinako's mother. Because, I mean, she didn't elaborate on if that person died. She just mentioned that they blew each other up, basically. Or, well, she blew them both up. But if the girl had immortality, even if she was just a head, couldn't she have also eventually reformed similar to how Shiori did? So, this still does not disregard my thought on the woman from her past decades ago could have been her mother, which also would imply that her mother is not deceased below the water herself. Also, totally relate to Shiori on the whole thing of, like, not knowing where you belong, not understanding people, and all that kind of thing. So, like, finally meeting somebody who you could, like, understand, even if it was, like, a awkward kind of situation, was a good feeling, really. And, like, it is one of those topics in the anime-verse that becomes very, questionable, but still, it's one of those feel-good kind of stories of meeting somebody that you can click with and relate with, albeit later on in life, that person also became one of the worst cynics ever, and not somebody that seemed like somebody who could provide nourishment, as it were. And honestly, you gotta give some regards to Hinako for not getting scared immediately. I mean, most kids would have seen something like that and been like, holy shit, and ran away. But she was, like, curious. And granted, you know, curiosity killed the cat and all that, but, like... Which, on topic, I wish my two new cats weren't dumbasses, because every time they play with shit in the basement when I'm down there doing this or that, I am so concerned they're gonna do something stupid. Okay, as a monster, that's kind of a base thought process, though. Like, damn. Yeah, actually, that reminds me, I do need to, like, look up how to actually make omelet rolls, because I bought well, I didn't buy, but I, like, got it for Christmas because it was coincidentally on my list because I had intended on buying it for myself, but I got a thing to make omelet rolls. And, like, I was never a huge omelet person, but I am a weeb, so... Also, I'm gonna say it really is the difference between, like, the past and one's experiences that really does change things, because bright, happy, sunny, shiny child enjoying life with her family, and then disaster strikes, and now she's just a gigantic cynic because not a lot of good shit happens in her life. She has like one bright-eyed, bushy-tailed. Okay, thinking on it, the irony in that statement, though, considering her friend is a giant fox creature deep down. Um, her best friend has all the kind of attitude you need from somebody to make your life decent, but she just still was not having it. But maybe that's also like the thing about perspective. Like in my idea, I'm a giant cynic with a lot of things. I still try to put some hope out with thought processes, at least involving like my reactions and reviews to shows and giving out life lessons and stuff, which I really should start putting more of those into the shorts because that'd help. A lot of my life lessons also end up to like deconstruct into rants about stuff. I'll learn how to separate the two better. Point being, things that happen in one's life just make them a very undesirable person to want to be around. But some people still try and force it upon them, and doesn't always work out to help make their attitude better. Not gonna go into huge rant, rave, and all that stuff on things, because I hate fighting with my editing self about getting through all that, and usually only leaving it for the Patreon side. The point being, the things that can be helped for people who are depressed or cynics should be helped. In Hinako's case, I do feel really bad for her because the reason she hit her depression was because the people that should love her are not in her life anymore, and that just kind of shattered her entire being. But again, she at least does have people that care for her. Might not be her relatives, but she has two monstrous friends who will do anything to make sure she's happy and protected. So at least that's good, right? Imagine asking a child that has no fucking clue this question. They're just kind of like, why would, what? Huh? I mean, mortality sounds cool and all, but what? Actually, that would have been even more fucked up if it wasn't for the fact that Hinako had her blood mixed in her from that incident that happened, but because she had eaten her flesh prior, and the blood just helped. Just really, the way her hand is as big as Hinako's head when she was that young, she literally could just. I'm so fucked up, man. I'm just looking at this scene, and as sweet as it's supposed to be, as much as it's supposed to expose the love of Shiori and Hinako's actual, like, connection to one another, and she's probably gonna go into the thing that happened after her parents died. I just can't help but visualize all the different ways that this could go just from this one scene. But that's also because I've seen a lot of horror content in my life. So I'm just imagining, hand on head, slam down, throw into a wall, crush her. All these things are running through my head, as fucked up as that is. But when you ingest enough horror content, you start to kind of think of, like, how fucked up things could be. And technically, this is a horror anime. So honestly, if she wasn't obviously alive and obviously the main character, it totally could have gone this way, or that way. Speaking of horror anime involving children, there's something I might try to do a couple episodes of later. Okay, this thought process, though, does give a bit of leaning thought to, did she cause the accident with her parents and brother? I still want to say no, because as fucked up as she might be, as much of a monster as she might be, I don't think she would have, like, done that. Maybe, but guess we'll see. Okay, my point being exactly, this is a horror anime and anything could happen. This didn't happen, this is just her own dramatization, but, like, wonder if this is why the fad of taking pictures of your food started, because of people having this kind of thought process. It eventually became super annoying, but this was probably the thought process of the first people that started doing it, when it was like just a cutesy little tee-hee, look at what I'm eating kind of thing. Okay. If it were for the fact we knew where this was going, this would also be even more fucked up. Because, like, anytime somebody, but maybe the parent, says this to a child, probably not a good thing. But then again, there are definitely a lot of celebrities who would probably know about that one thing. The fact she actually trusted her, too. Okay, so it wasn't after the accident she gave Hinako her blood, it was in this moment. So it wasn't, like, specifically to save her, it was just to make sure nothing bad happened to her. Which, in the short term, great idea. You know, you never know when something fucked up is going to happen to a child, whether it be intentional or otherwise. However, though that still does not mean she wasn't the one who caused the incident with her parents. And yeah, she was the one who erased Hanako's memories, so I don't think she was the one who intentionally did what happened, so that really was just an unfortunate situation. Yeah. Okay, so they didn't go into further explanation, so yeah, she didn't have anything to do with what happened. Other than her continuing to live on a miserable life, which... Wow, rude. What'd that cephalopod do? But she immediately recognized the smell of the blood from that little handkerchief. She can talk to those things? Damn, she even noticed that it had changed over time, so she immediately recognized the disruptance in the attitude that connected to the blood. Really weird sentence to say. I also really should, like, find a way to get the arm hooked up for my microphone that I need, because I feel like if I was able to, like, bring it closer to me, it might help. But also I feel like it's better being over there so it's on a camera site, because, I don't know, thumbnails would be weird to make if the microphone was in camera shot, and it's not like the distance between me and the microphone is that bad. Maybe it's the reason it adds a little bit of echo, though if anybody has a thing I can look into on my Streamlabs setup, let me know, because maybe it's that. So I feel like, for now, this is fine. Maybe one of these days I'll, like, figure a better way to arrange things, but, like, for now, until, like, maybe I get my room more situated, this is the best way I can figure out, because, like, I record from here, show goes there, title of show goes up there on the blank space in my wall, it all works out perfectly. It's just the sound that I feel could be a little better, but it's also not terrible. Because, like, from what I can tell myself, you guys can understand me enough. Yeah, as I said before, this is kind of like what happens when shit happens in the in-between of somebody's life when you meet them. You know, I used to be a very happy child. I used to be a happy teenager, and then the disruptions happened, and then they kept happening. Not gonna continue my rant, though. Y'all probably know my story 10 times over. And the one way to continue keeping me in some sort of way of being happy, well, the simplest way is don't forget to hit that like button and stuff, because when one of these channels hits where it needs to after a very long time, at least one thing in life can finally go right. A whole serious conversation being as what the redhead is thinking, and this is where her mind goes. I adore Shiori, but come on, you gotta stay on topic just for a little bit. That seems to be a reoccurring thing between the two of you, but that's fine. Maybe eventually you can, like, temper Hinako down enough to just, like, enjoy your weird three-way relationship you got going on. That would be kind of rude, but not a bad way to deal with things, although not a good way to deal with your problems either. Listen, if you could make someone forget about their problems, wouldn't you? Like, that's honestly the best superpower to have. Like, invisibility, super speed, teleportation, all this is cool. What if we could just make somebody forget about their problems that don't actually mean anything? What if? Because, like, if you have the powers to just, like, place your hand over somebody's eyes and say, "Be gone, anxiety!" it would just be gone. You know, like what these crazy religious people think they can do, and it doesn't actually work that way. Actually, are there still crazy people running those kind of church sermons where they fucking call fake people up on stage and heal them. Did people still do that kind of shit? Because, like, I've seen it mentioned in a couple of TV shows here and there, but not as much as I used to back in the fucking early 2000s, and TV shows reference that stuff constantly. I mean, if she could get her hands on some explosives, she'd probably just use them for herself. But that is not quite true. Like, that's probably the first thing I've really disagreed with that she has said. Because, like, I don't like talking to people either because of thought processes like that. Like, if you try to start a conversation with somebody that's probably above you and they think that much of themselves, they're not going to reply to you, or at least they're not going to reply to you in kind. I mean, hell, I try to have conversations. I try to talk with people about things. I try to ask people about things, in the YouTube atmosphere, let's say, for example. I try to talk to people bigger than me about these things. I get ignored 99% of the time. Because I'm a little person, they don't respect me enough, even if I'm a big member of the community. Just for one example to give. So, like, that kind of thought process, while true, shouldn't be as much as it is, really. And for a mermaid to think that kind of thing with someone who, she thinks very highly of, somebody who helped save her life, basically, shouldn't a conversation be respectable? Okay, so anything after the credits? No. It basically comes down to she didn't do anything wrong to Hinako. Like, what she did was in a good mindset, She only gave her blood to help protect her in case something bad happened. Unfortunately, that bad thing that happened came down to a complete accident and not the kind of thing she would have, like, foreseen or been able to help. Granted, she probably could have followed Hinako and her family just to make sure nothing bad happened, but I digress. Because couldn't she have, like, just swam at water shore when they were driving along the road and, had been able to help? Realistically, but I guess as she was told, she didn't really have the foresight to be able to consider that being a thing, so hopefully within the course of the next couple of episodes, things turn around at least a little bit for these two. Because I don't like a lot of unneeded drama, but this is how you write drama to work. You connect it to stuff from the past before the show even started. That's the good way to run drama. Not like in a lot of these actual, rom-com shows where it's like, here's two people that are having trouble grasping their feelings. And now let's introduce a third character just for some random bullshit. Now, there's the show I started last month at the time of recording this that technically connects to. But also I can't say that per se, because maybe that third character is interjecting bullshit. Honestly, maybe they're just there to exist. I don't know. I haven't gone back to the show yet. I don't plan on doing that for a little while, because nice as generic rom-coms are and fun as that show was, we'll get back to it eventually when I run out of other stuff to catch up to. For now, though, hopefully these two resolve their stuff sooner rather than later, and hopefully you guys hit the like button, subscribe, let me know about other stuff I can check out this season, next season, or in general. Ring the bell, subscribe to the other stuff in the description, and ring their bells as well, like Facebook, follow Twitter, Blue Sky, keep updated with things, TikTok, Patreon, get the full and visual and audio of the stuff I upload here, because I can't give you the opacity version because of the red platform being a while of twit waffle. But on the Patreon, you'll still get every single little detail, from my random bullshit to my ha-ha to whatever. That's a very weird way to put it, but I mean, it's coughing. You get every little bit of the show and my commentary. And I do have plans to bring some stuff to the Patreon channel for free from the gaming side of things. So, hey, worth checking out over there as well for that kind of stuff that'll come up eventually. For now, oh, forgot to mention about Twitch. I haven't streamed in a little bit, but I do plan on getting back there as well eventually. Now, all that being said, it's been the Blazer King with King's Critiques out. Ta for now. Peace.